This is the Air Conservation Commission meeting. It is Thursday, January 22nd, 2022. Due to the ongoing COVID-19 pandemic, in accordance with Chapter 20 of the Act of 2021, suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, public bodies otherwise governed by the open meeting law are temporarily relieved from the requirement that meetings be held in public places, open and physically accessible to the public, so long as measures are taken to ensure public access to the body's deliberations through adequate alternative means. This meeting will be live on Zoom. The public may participate remotely by joining Zoom. The meeting ID number is 840-4058-0886, or by calling 929-205-6099. For additional information about remote participation, please contact Conservation Commission at concom@ayer.ma.us or by calling 978-772-8220, extension 143, prior to the meeting. We have in attendance this evening with us commissioners. We have Jen Amaya will be joining us shortly. We have George Bacon as member. We have Jess Gugino as member clerk. We have Mark Phillips as vice chair, and myself, John Schmallenberger, as chair. Do we have confirmation of agenda?
Yeah, no changes.
Okay. Motion to accept the agenda as written.
Moved.
Second.
Moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Do a roll call vote. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. Approval of meeting minutes from January 6th, 2022. Are there any changes?
Just changed one word on page 4 at Mark's suggestion. Talking about the frequency of maintenance and sizing on catch basins. And I had put usually more maintenance, e.g. vacuuming is required the first year, and Mark asked that I change it to inspections instead of vacuuming. So I did that.
Okay, very good. Anything else? All right, hearing nothing. Is there a motion to approve the meeting minutes of January 6th, 2022 as amended?
Moved.
Second.
Moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Do a roll call vote. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Passes unanimously. Accounts payable.
We do have one thing that will be coming, nothing that we have to approve here, but we did get signature stamps for each of us while we're meeting remotely. That will cost us $217, or that is costing us $217. And I just wanted to say at this point, according to Carly, the best method is to get in written confirmation from each of you, an okay to use the stamp after the meeting. So what I think I'm going to do starting tonight, right after every meeting, I'll just send an email saying, okay, we voted on this, 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 and this. All you have to do is reply back, okay to use your signature stamp on this, 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 and this, or not okay on this one, or whatever. And that way we can process the permits really fast as well. Does that sound
Okay.
acceptable?
Yep.
Yes.
Okay.
So we're not going to pay that right now. We'll do it
Well, it's already been submitted for payment.
been-
Robert's been signing
Yeah.
our invoices, so,
Okay,
but just letting you know, we now have them.
nice.
And also, I just need a personal check from each of you at some point. A blank personal check.
Yeah.
I just make sure they work. Joking.
Figured.
Yeah.
All right, at this point in time in the meeting, we're going to open it up to public input. If there is anyone out there that would like to express a concern, an opinion, questions, now's the time. Okay, then hearing none, we will move on. Our first item this evening is a public hearing that we are going to open under the Wetlands Protection Act and under the Ayer Wetlands bylaw. It is a notice of intent, Willow Road and Route 2, Mass DOT Highway Division. It is Mass DOP file number 100-0477. All right. Dan, it's nice to see you with us this evening. Thank you for being here.
Hi, yeah, you're welcome.
Yeah. And we had some questions from our last meeting that had to do with treating the stormwater before it got into Bennett's Brook. So can you fill us in a little bit on what?
Would you, sorry, this is Danielle Spicer from Green International Affiliates. Would you like me to let you kind of know what we've done since the last meeting?
Yes, that would be great. First off, good evening.
Good evening.
And how are you?
Good, very good.
Good. Yeah, please, if you could fill us in a little bit,
Sure.
that'd be great.
Thank you, and thank you, everyone. Good evening, everyone. So at the last hearing, we had submitted a letter earlier in that day with a response to the Conservation Commission questions during the site walk, but we had also received a letter from Dan of the DPW later that evening. And so we didn't really have time to do a formal response. So what we've done between the last hearing and now is we've submitted a written response to Dan with the 3 different questions that he had with our responses, and I can kind of go through those in individual, as well as provided some additional information that I don't think he had received the copy of the Concom response letter as well as the DEP response letter. And as part of that, I know that there was a lot of concern by all of the conservation members as well as DPW with regard to the treatment that was going to Bennett's Brook. So we were able to actually, between conversations with Dan and MassDOT, the town has actually agreed to maintain and pay for the installation of a proprietary stormwater device at the right before that outfall before it goes into Bennett's Brook. And if you want, let me just bring up the plan so I can share it a little bit better. Just give me 2 seconds. Okay. So we know that that's kind of one of the main concerns that's been voiced several times. So what we've done is we've revised here is this is the 18-inch that kind of comes down and then it discharges right to Bennett's Brook right here. So what we've done is we've installed a bypass manhole that will actually have a weir. So all of the smaller storms will go through here. They'll go into this, and I apologize, it's a little bit hard to see here, but there's actually 2 pipes, and I might actually be able to show you I'll show you the detail in a second. But what it does is it goes into this water quality separator. It's a hydrodynamic separator where it gets, significant treatment over just a catch basin, and then it will kind of come out, and then it will overflow. It will continue to kind of go back over here. There is a weir in here, so any of the large storm events that this isn't sized for will just go over the weir and then out and into Bennett's Brook. That's typically how these are sized. These are sized for your water quality flow rate, and we use, the DEP guidelines for sizing that. So if you want just to kind of, I can show you a detail. This is what I meant by this is how. Oops, sorry. Let me just zoom out. Quick second. So this is kind of coming in down Willow Road in here. You can see this is the weir in here. So this will kind of go right through here into this hydrodynamic separator. It will be treated. All of the sediment will settle in the bottom of this, and all the clean water will come out and then go back down through this way. So that's kind of how these treatment devices work. We are able to locate it within the existing right-of-way, so there's no additional right-of-way taking that's needed for this project. And then this was just, these were the two revised plans that we submitted today to both Dan and to the Conservation Commission with that. So that's been the significant improvement that we've made to the design for the project. So with that, I guess, unless Tom, if there's anything additional you wanted to add, I open it up to questions.
No, I think you covered everything, Daniel. Thank you.
So Danielle, a quick question. Was this the unit that you were saying that the state doesn't like to
So-
install because of the cost and the difficulty and of maintaining and that sort of thing, and the town is going to share with the cost of that?
Yeah, so and maybe we also have hung here as well from Mass DOT from the stormwater section, so he can weigh in on this a little bit. But yeah, so typically MassDOT does not install these mainly with regard to the maintenance issues, but we've had conversations directly with the town. It's my understanding the town actually has a few of these in town, so this is not something new. They actually have the devices that they will be able to maintain these. So they are taking ownership with regard to maintenance of this once it's installed.
Yeah, do you mind if I talk?
Sure,
Joe?
yeah, thank you.
Yep. Please go right
Yeah,
ahead.
so I worked with Tom on this, and we actually did a similar thing on the East Main Street project, where the DPW, we have some outfall improvement monies, and we installed 2 of these on the East Main Street project. So we have 2 there. We also have 2 more in town, and we've been regularly maintaining them, and they've been working well for us. So I thought it was a very great spot to put one, obviously with this upgrade going on. So I offered that we could help pay for that and then do the maintenance of the unit. So that's so I met with Tom and went through the whole project. This was one of the items. Kind of, if you want, I guess that's the focus on this item. We went over some other things too, if we want to get into that later, but as far as the separator goes, that's what we discussed.
So Dan, what is what's the separation of costs here? So I understand the town will maintain it, that's fine. The cost to install, is that also being borne by the town, or is it being shared? I'm not quite sure I follow.
No, it's being borne by the town. So, well, what happens is Mass DOT bids it and they get a bid price similar to what we do when we do a project. And we'll cover the cost on that line item for the separator. And it's exactly what we did on the East Main Street project to add some stormwater treatment there with these separators due to MassDOT's policy that they don't like having them due to having to maintain them.
And what's the, what do we think the estimated cost of that's going to be?
So in previous, on East Main Street, they're around 15,000. So it's probably a little more on this one, just because of the way prices are going nowadays. So it could, be in the 20s, maybe a little somewhere in that range.
And Daniel, what do we
to see
think?
how the bid comes in.
Okay. And Daniel, what's the total cost of this whole project? Do we have a rough idea?
I don't know that. Tom, do you?
It's around $3.5 million.
When I think about $20,000 and the fact that our town has to maintain it, this is not something that DOT is gonna be able to bear. I mean, you're saying typically they don't do it because they don't want to maintain it. If we're offering to maintain it, this can't just be borne by, a $3.5 million project. We can't find 20 grand in there. That seems a little silly.
So hi, how are you? My name is Hong Pham. I am the acting stormwater program coordinator. So the reason why we do not participate in the hydrodynamic separator is that we are not confident in its treatment. We do feel like there's an equivalent to the water quality separator, which would be leaching basins, but the town preferred to use a water quality separator, and we have treated this proprietary item equally with all town and municipalities. That if that is something that the municipality would like to participate in, it is through their own way of funding.
And Dan, what is the funding source for this for DPW?
It's in our stormwater budget. We have funds for these improvements.
And Hung, you said typically you like to do the infiltration basins, like you're doing on 2A itself, correct?
No,
We
I think he was leaching basins, right?
Yeah, if the equivalent to any subsurface would be a leaching basin for a water quality separator.
Okay.
Well, this is an improvement.
Yes, this will definitely add additional treatment, which I think is the main concern was before this outfall. This will definitely add additional treatment prior to discharging to Bennett's Brook. And it's actually, we've sized it for, the total impervious area that's within this area. That's within the trunk, within this drainage line.
Okay.
Yeah, and Tom and I kind of walked through the project, and we were looking at some more areas for infiltration, but one of the big problems is the drain pipe is pretty deep, especially further upstream from Bennett's Brook. So there's not really good opportunity, especially when you're doing these redevelopments on our roadways. It's a tight right of way, and then you're trying to find private properties to work with. So, being able to get this unit in will help. It's going to really just help the TSS. But there's not a whole lot you can do when we do town projects and roadways. We, try to fit in BMPs as we can, but it's always really difficult. So, yeah, that's all I have to say for now.
Any other commissioners?
Yeah,
have
Dan, I
questions?
guess I was more interested in possibly trying to utilize. Oh, sorry, John. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead.
So Dan, I guess I was wondering, and based on the profile views that were sent out, looking at the depths and elevations and such, if they were to stay on the east side of Bruce Street at the low point, which is like 252 feet, essentially extending the infiltration basin to the west or towards the intersection to allow that depression that's on the south side of 2A, as you're heading up Bruce Street, and basically to bring that and daylight it out into a much longer basin along the south side of 2A, along the farm area. So I guess that was my initial thoughts is going into this versus, and I know the gas pipe, but based on what I thought just the last time, again, if we stayed on the east side of Bruce Street, we'd be out of the the National Grid gas pipeline. And potentially wouldn't have to go as deep, I guess is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, so I did speak to Tom today, and I believe there is elevation. I'll let them speak to it, to take some more drainage that direction, but there wasn't space. I was told there wasn't space to expand the basin. But Tom or it's Danielle, you want to speak to that?
Yeah, I can speak to that a little bit, Dan. That's right. We talked about that today, and elevation wise, those catch basins could go that direction. One of our concerns with that is we do have the farm that is right there. We are already impacting the farm in some capacity, especially the path that they use. We're trying to minimize that as much as possible, that impact to the farm and really private property. So in order to reduce the size of the basin, we have the opportunity to pipe some of that water to the Willow Road outfall, Bennett's Brook, which really just ends up discharging to Spectacle Pond and back into Littleton. And, you know, as we'd responded to the DEP comments, you know, as far as flow rate, though it's really, the additional flow rate is negligible. I think it's less than 1 CFS from those 2 additional catch basins. So that's how we got to that point in the design.
You have any comments on that, George?
No, I don't.
Okay. How about you, Jess?
No, I'm quite pleased with the addition of the new catch basin on Willow Road, so I'm fine with this.
And Dan, you were saying that there's some other things that you discussed or you went over with Tom and that you might want to go over now.
I think they were brought up, the depth of the pipe and what we just talked about with potentially diverting some of the flows, which were minor.
Mhm.
Yeah, that was it.
Okay. What are you thinking, Mark?
I appreciate what the DOT has done. I think we're in a better spot right now.
Mhm.
I would agree. I would agree. So are we in a position to take a vote?
Yep, I think.
Anyone else?
Question would be, what sort of, in particular, conditions would we want? Would there be any special conditions we'd want to put on this? In
And
addition
what
to
might they
vertical?
be? What conditions might those be?
George, do you have any thoughts?
No, I think Mass DOT knows how to run a site, so I don't think we need anything really special.
Mark, can you think of any special conditions?
I guess I would just, you know, I would ask Dan to confirm location wise where this is going to sit now, where you're going to be maintaining. Is there a concern to you at all? Is that going to be a trouble for the crews to get in there at all?
No, that won't be an issue.
How often do you get into those others that are in town to maintain?
We got to do it at least twice a year we basically check the TSS level. And then if there is a significant amount, we have to vacuum it out, but we have a special contractor who would do that.
Yep. Okay. How about you, Jess? You have any
I'm-
thoughts?
Nope, I'm good.
You're good?
Yeah.
Okay. Is there a motion to approve the notice of intent, the Willow Road Route 2 DOT? It's file number 100-0477 to approve the notice of intent as presented,
I'd say as amended.
So moved.
as amended.
as
Yeah,
amended.
amended and or revised, and second, yes.
Okay. All right, it was moved by George Bacon. It was seconded by Mark Phillips. We will do a roll call vote. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. Passes unanimously.
um,
Right.
I'll
Yes.
prepare a draft order of conditions. Danielle, do I send that to you?
Yeah, that's fine. You can send that to me. That'd be great.
And then we will, once you're cool with it and we're cool with it, then we'll vote to sign it and close the public hearing at our next meeting.
Okay, that sounds great.
Okay,
Jess, can you tell me what the date of that next meeting is, please?
February 10th.
February 10th.
Thank you.
Okay, is there a motion to continue the public hearing notice of intent? Mass DOT, DEP file number 100-0477 until February 10th.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Do a roll call vote. George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Oh, Jen, you're here.
I came in the middle of the presentation, so feel free to continue without me for now.
Okay, Jess, how do you vote?
I,
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. So we will see you on February 10th. Thank you so much for
yeah,
your cooperation and your patience, and we do appreciate it.
No, thank you very much.
Thank you.
very much.
Have a good evening. Thank you.
Good night, all.
Bye.
All right. Next item this evening is a public meeting, and we will open this public meeting under the Wetlands Protection Act and under the Ayers Wetlands Bylaw. This is a request for determination of applicability at number 4 Shelley Lane. Sean Ives. And Mr. Ives, are you with us? Yes, sir. How are you this evening?
Fine, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Oh, absolutely. Thanks for being here. You have a project that you would like to do. Can you run us through that briefly?
Sure thing. My property is on Grove Pond. Down by the pond, there is an area that was cleared by the beavers for me a couple of years ago. We put a few chairs down there and it's at a bit of a slope. So we'd like to level out the ground down there. About a 16 by 12 foot area. The depth at the height of the slope would be about 21 inches. And we'd just like to put a little retaining wall in the back, put down some pea gravel and be able to put a fire pit, portable, and a few chairs and some little tables so that our beverages don't fall off the tables. That's all.
Well, we were out and saw your area a while ago and just had a couple of thoughts and questions. It looks like there would be some significant root removal in that area to flatten it.
There were a bunch of trees down there, yeah.
There are a bunch of trees down there. And I guess our concern was that it'll kill the trees, getting those roots out of the way.
Oh, the existing trees?
Yes, sir.
That wouldn't be my intent.
Well, I realize it wouldn't be your intent.
Yeah,
Right. But that was a concern.
okay. I'm certainly not an expert in that area. Do you have a recommendation or do you have a way that I can investigate that further to see if there'd be an impact?
Well, I'm not an expert on it either, to be honest with you. I think there were a number of trees that we looked at that would sort of be in the danger zone. And I guess the thought is if they do die, then, or else do you just take them out? Probably just wait in case they die and then replace them with trees just to take their place.
I could, I think, that hadn't occurred to me, honestly. Again, this is not my forte. I wouldn't want to, because they protect the house from the noise pollution from across the pond.
Yeah.
And so that was actually one of the big problems with the beavers, because they came in and took down a few of the smaller trees, and you could really tell the difference. So that'd be kind of a worst case scenario for me if any more of the trees fell. I don't know. I could do some research. I could try to find somebody who's more of an expert on this, and try to position where we'd like to flatten it or reduce the area of the sitting area so that it wouldn't be an impact.
Any other commissioners have any thoughts on this?
Wondering, I mean, looking at some of the pictures, I can't remember if we did see that many tree roots right where the chairs were. I just don't remember. But would there be any possibility of maybe building up that area instead of digging into potential tree roots and putting an edge at the bottom of the sitting area?
I could, or I could try to split the difference.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I'm totally open to whatever.
Okay.
I don't want to impact the area. I don't want to impact the trees that are existing. So open to suggestions. That's not a bad one.
Yeah.
And we also don't want to incur more expense for you to have to go out and try to contact someone and have them come and give you a consultation. But I don't know, that's kind of a good idea, Jess, is to build it up a bit and try to protect as much as possible.
Sure.
Seemed like a lot of our concern when we saw it, or at least my concern, was that digging down was going to be very disturbing in that area. So building it up seems to kind of negate that issue as well.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd be all for that if that's a possibility.
So take it down a little bit in the back, or have a little wall, maybe half of what you proposed, and do the same thing in the front towards the pond.
Well, frankly, it's not a bad idea, because then the dirt that I remove from the backside just builds up the front side.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. So then it's only down about 10 inches instead of about 20.
Right.
Yeah, that really doesn't sound bad at all.
That was pretty much my major concern with the project. It's a nice area, by the way. I can see why you want to be out there.
It's nice. Yeah.
Yeah, and then as Jess was saying, potentially a little bit of a wall on the front edge to kind of, support that stuff from, what am I trying to say? Washing down into the water.
Right.
And then so you kind of split the difference on the walls. So you kind of create two little walls as opposed to one big one,
That's a good idea. I like it.
Any thoughts on this, George?
No, I wasn't on the sidewalk, but
Oh, that's right.
looking at the pictures, I had the same concerns. And I think this is probably the best way to handle it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Anyone else have any thoughts or comments? Questions? No? Then is there a motion to issue a negative determination on the RDA at number 4 Shelley Lane? Sean Ives,
With conditions then.
with conditions.
Yeah.
So moved.
Second.
Moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. We will do a roll call vote. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye, passes unanimously. And this will go to the state sometime early next week.
Yep.
And,
yeah.
yep, go ahead. And
Go ahead, John.
I was just gonna say, once it's issued to the state, they have 10 days to appeal it if they choose to. And if you don't hear anything in those 10 days, then you are free to proceed with your project, which I don't think you're gonna want to do right now. There's
But
a short, yeah,
we will want there to be, when you start digging dirt up, we'll want a line of silt fencing and hay bales on that lower edge. And that'll be a condition. We'll want that to be just inspected before you start actually digging.
Okay. So should I get in touch with you about next steps here?
Yep, just into yeah. So I will send this out by Monday to you, and then you don't have to do anything, wait 10 days, and then probably decide not to do anything further until the snow melts.
Yeah.
And then when you're ready to proceed, you'll put up a little hay bale line with some silt fencing, especially given the downslope, and just give the office a call, and one of us will come out and check it, and then you'll be good to go. Okay.
Cool. That sounds good.
well, great. Thank you for joining us this evening. Appreciate it. And good luck with your project. And we'll see, one of us will see you next spring or summer, whenever you get into this.
Cool. Hey, thanks very much. And thanks for everybody's help. I really appreciate it.
Okay.
Very welcome.
All right.
Good
Is it
night,
all
sir.
right if I hang out for later? There's another thing on Grove Pond that I'm interested in.
Oh, absolutely. Of course.
All right, cool.
Yep. You betcha. All right. Our next item this evening is a discussion of to review contract with North County Land Trust for conservation restriction services. Do you want to go through this, Jess?
Well, I probably wouldn't mind, George, you'd had some comments that you sent in. Do you want to go over those, or do you remember them?
I don't remember them.
I have them right here. Well, let's see. George's first if you go to the page, 1, 2, the third page. George, your first comment was, I'm taking notes as I talk. The paragraph underneath the, and actually, I wonder if I can screen share this. Wait a sec.
It's turned on, so you should be able to.
Yeah, just pulling up the document. Okay. So how do I find, yeah, allow. Okay, this might not work so easily today. I might have to do this dry run later. So if everybody has their copy, George, you had a question about, oh goodness. My computer's doing things to me.
Jess, do you want me to try and screen share?
Sure.
Okay.
Okay.
Yep.
All right, on the paragraph, Airtown Conservation Department staff with managing the town's conservation portfolio, which includes, and George, you had a question about compiling the required documents for proper recording. You said you weren't sure what that meant.
Yeah, well, in general, that paragraph is a little vague.
Okay.
There's that. You know, at the end, it says other duties aimed at keeping the town in compliance with its conservation obligations. And
Okay, so,
following through on implementing conservation restrictions. It's all very vague and, that may work in our advantage.
okay,
And
The one
I
thing
guess on this same page, I wasn't quite sure what the table was trying to get at, like, so where we've got no listed for the bottom 4 items, are they supposed to do something on those bottom 4 items or no?
no, that indicates which ones that we have the conservation restriction in place. So for example, the Tooker property, third from the top, says no. It needs a conservation restriction done. That sort of got dropped by the wayside years ago. We just, again, with staffing and time and our agendas being so full, we have not had the ability to do that. So there are several of them that need the conservation restrictions done and, finalized and recorded with the state.
So would our pricing go up then, or does that price include all of these, whether the restrictions in place or not?
Oh, it's going to take more than 1 year or 6 months to do all this.
Okay.
So it's just,
Okay.
it's going to be getting them to start the process.
Gotcha. Okay, thank you.
And George also pointed out that we have a few that are missing. Where did you put that? We have to add in the Orion Industries, Panther Place, and Air Solar 2B CRs that have been done or need to be done. Panther Place and Solar 2 were started. They're not complete, and part of the problem now is that the person in the state who was in charge of reviewing and approving conservation restrictions left that position, and to my knowledge, the state has not yet filled it. But it would be good if we got work going on getting the ones we have all teed up so that once the state does fill that position, we can move forward.
So I guess I didn't get the impression, and maybe I'm jumping the gun, but are we supposed to detail that in this document? Like what we're looking for specifically on which site?
No, they're gonna know what to do. For example, is this conservation restriction document done yet? So they have some that are yes, most of the others need to be either started from scratch or where they're at, they need to be continued until they're complete and approved by the state. Baseline documentation, that needs to be provided for, that needs to be started with each CR. That's not something we've been doing or able to do. So for almost all of these, that needs to be done. And then a monitoring and enforcement plan. Again, we haven't been able to monitor these. This is an effort to start to catch up to where we need to be.
Okay, but I guess what I'm saying, Jess, is do we expect every one of the boxes in this table, including the additional ones that George talked about, we're gonna end up within 12 months to be yeses? Or what's the goal in the next 12 months? To baseline documentation on everything, or to complete, let's say, Kohler Place with yeses all the way to the right?
I don't think there's a, I can talk to Robert about this, but this is not something that's going to be completed in 12 months. But I mean, on the one thing, the monitoring and enforcement, that's going to be annual monitoring. Is this, once we get the CRs all in place, then North County is going to be taking over doing the annual monitoring. So that'll be a year by year thing. But if they're doing $10,000 worth, for certain number of hours per year, it's going to take some time for us to get even the CRs in place or ready to be in place once the state has their person hired.
Okay, so the goals for the first year, we can define those a little bit later, I guess is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Okay. And then I guess the question on Autumn Ridge, so we've got yeses all the way across, and we've got volunteers doing the monitoring. Are we going to not have them do that any longer and have North County do it?
No, I think that one we could probably let that keep going as is. I mean, the people at Autumn Ridge, they've been doing a great job. They know how to do it. They seem to enjoy doing it.
Okay.
So I wouldn't touch that one for now.
Okay.
Some of
Um,
these need to be done sooner than others too. Is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be really good. We need to get the Tucker property in hand because that was purchased with CPC money, and I think that's a state requirement. And again, that just has been slipping by.
Yep.
As I recall,
The
in
big issue
Joanne,
there was finding something to hold.
what was that?
The big issue with that is finding somebody to hold the restriction.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Which is another question I think, George, you asked. So we've come to understand from Joanne that the ownership of the property has to be one entity, but the holder of the CR has to be a separate entity. So for the town property, we've got to resolve that. And I think that's a question to ask if, say, North County Land Trust would be interested in holding the CRs on the town-owned properties.
That's something they do?
I don't know. I think
Okay.
that we have to ask. So, what other comments did you have, George? Yep. Yeah, another question, George, you had was, most of the CRs are missing baseline documentation. You asked if North County Land Trust would be then creating those, and that's a good question. I'll put that in our feedback to Robert on this.
Anything else you meant we want to look at, or can I stop sharing?
It's good. It's fine with me to stop sharing. I don't know, anybody else?
So, Jess, was this given to you and then you tweaked it a bit, or was this something you created?
Oh, actually, something I've had no part of. So this has been being negotiated between town manager Robert and North County Land Trust. So now it's at the stage for us to give feedback.
Oh, okay.
So
All right.
that's
So,
what it is.
but here's another piece of feedback on the expenses. I guess I don't quite understand when it says is sole responsibility of the party who ordered the service or incurred the particular expense. Does that mean it could either be the town or North County? Because party is not defined. The only thing that's been identified is town or consultant.
Where are you on that?
Number 5 on the first page.
Okay. Okay, so ask for clarification on that.
Yeah, I mean, I guess as I read it, it's like if North County does it, they got to pay for it. If we ask for it, then we pay for it. But that just seems kind of odd.
Yeah.
Mr.
Okay.
Chair. Mr. Chair,
Yes, sir.
it's Jeff Tillotson, excuse me. It may be germane to that question of Mr. Phillips. And I'll speak for myself, and I believe I can speak on behalf of the planning board. When a conservation restriction is required as part of an approval of a project, we endeavor to make sure that the conservation restriction is funded by the proponent during the process. That's number one. Number two, for the current, I'm going to say current, I don't know when to draw the line date-wise, projects that are on the list that was just shown on the screen. We recognize that there may be a period of time right now where things may or may not fall through the gaps, but we intend to make sure that the proponent understands that they are responsible for the conservation restrictions that they have to do, and that we will write language into the approvals that we approve that will hold their feet to the fire. Thank you.
Yeah, part of our issue is we've got so many old CRs that predate the open space residential subdivision process. So that's what, I mean, for example, Sandy Pond 2, Mark, where you live, there's no developer to turn to anymore.
If I may, Mr. Chair, I'm sorry. If we
Go
can
ahead.
be helpful, please let us know.
Very good.
Because we all have the ear of the town manager, but I have a feeling sometimes if two people ask them the question, it may be helpful.
Okay, appreciate that. Ms. Nearing, you had a comment?
Are you hearing me?
Yes, yes.
Oh, okay, great, thanks. I wanted to have, I'm glad, Jeff, that you're here. I wanted to have a better understanding of this contract and what it is exactly that the chart has. I do have a copy of the same thing you're looking at. It sounded to me like of the properties that are listed in this chart, they're all from various developers, not really from private donations. And it was a arrangement that was made when the plan for development went in to get a portion of land back for town benefit, that it's conservation land. Is that correct? And I'm
That-
asking because I had not heard of a number of these properties before.
Under, oh, may I?
No, go
Okay.
ahead, Jim.
Under the open space residential subdivision bylaw, which is, what year is that? 2018. So we've had a few new CRs created through that mechanism, and that would be John Carroll Reserve, soon to be Shaker Mill Pond, Panther Place. If and
I
when
believe-
Stratton Hill,
I'm sorry, Jess, what were you going to say? I believe that's it. 3 of those, right?
Yeah. and Stratton Hill, if and when they move forward.
That's on the agenda for later in the evening.
Right.
I'm
Could
sorry,
I just finish, Jeff?
please.
Yeah, earlier ones, Pine Meadow Conservation Area, that's should have been done decades ago. Minnie French and Mountain Laurel, the Sandy Pond 2 one, has issues, and that's going to be a little rat's nest to untangle at some point. Groton School Road. Actually, not even sure which that one is. But some of these are historical, Lori, and they weren't created as part of an agreement with the town. I think they were often more created as a result of requirements of natural heritage
Okay.
in the
Okay.
state.
So just for my own clarification, and I can respond to North County Land Trust a little bit too, because I do some work for them. All the properties that are listed then are considered conservation land, but they don't have a formal study that we call a conservation report. And so therefore they're not officially conservation restricted properties yet, because they don't have all the components with the exception of Autumn Ridge. So the goal is to get CRs officially on all of this, and we're
Mhm.
using North County Land Trust's services to help us get to that point.
Yep.
Is that okay? And if I understand correctly, the way this is written, we're allocating $10,000 a year. They're going to be charging us $70 an hour. So they'll get through as much of this work as they can, given the containment of $10,000 a year.
Yeah.
Is that correct? Okay. So
Yes.
they may also incorporate some volunteers to help with routine monitoring kinds of things. Once they know once they establish the criteria for the different properties and know, what's on the property, what to look for, where there might be issues, and so on.
I would assume we could work that in down the road.
Okay. So North County Land Trust does manage and own conservation restrictions, as does the trustees. So if you're familiar with the work of the trustees, they're just a small version
Yeah.
of what they do. And they do have an amazing growing staff with a lot of really wonderful programs. So I am just truly delighted that you have made that connection with them. I think they're fantastic.
Yeah.
And I'm truly impressed with everything that they do. So I'm delighted to see this go forward. It's great step, big step and great step forward. So yay.
Yep. Thank you.
Great.
Jeff, you had another comment?
Yeah, thank you. And Lori, thank you very much for your comments about trustees. I think trustees are amazing. I've been working with them since I lived in Nantucket in the 80s, last century. The planning board has made the conscious decision, and I had a discussion this evening with Vice Chair Diskin with us earlier today, that we are going to write into any approvals of projects that they can't get a certificate of occupancy without a conservation restriction in hand that is complete. Because we recognize that this is there's been this disconnect between conservation and planning, and we're doing our best to bring it together. I think it's the best way to say it. Nobody can be faulted for what's going on, but we got to look at this going forward. And so planning wants to make sure that they don't get an opportunity to sell a piece of property until they've got it all taken care of. And it doesn't help conservation as much as it helps the town. We won't accept a property for a CO without an as-built drawing. So we're doing our best, given the levers we have within the Commonwealth of Massachusetts, to pressure our proponents to be compliant in all ways. So this doesn't happen, Lori, as you know, things have gone forward. People come to us and ask for us to approve things that were not done 20 years ago. We don't want that to happen anymore. We won't get to all of them, but that's our commitment, quite honestly, is to make sure that restrictions in place and it is recorded and all things are taken care of. There's an owner and an overseer, if you will, before a CO is granted. And the building commissioner is on board with this too. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
The only thing I might mention, Jeff, would be, say, Shaker Mill Pond, they've started to construct houses, and I understand they might want to start putting them up for sale.
So there, yes, and if I can talk technically about how that whole process works, you can't move in until you have a certificate of occupancy.
Right. So my question, the reason I'm just bringing that up is if the state does not have a mechanism for the time being to finalize a CR, that's going to be beyond our control and the developer's control.
And it's beyond the control of the planning board. Thank you very much, Jess.
Yeah. So we might have to have some contingency arrangements.
So thank you for drilling down on that one. I was actually standing across the pond from your chair's house, taking pictures of the swan today, when I got the phone call that the person who works for the Commonwealth of Massachusetts is no longer in the chair accepting or approving of conservation restrictions. So it was floated to me by the vice chair, Mr. Diskin, that we will have to come up with a contingency plan to make sure that Shaker Mill Pond is within compliance. I mean, really what it comes down to is we're all human. Things happen. We can't control what's going on in the pandemic, which is very, very frustrating. And, you know, yeah, I say we're going to make sure that they're going to be in compliance before they move forward. This is a bugaboo for us. But I can't think of any other ones that will come to us. Panther Place may get there. They're moving along very quickly, but we will make sure as best we can, and we're going to have to reach out to town council for this to find out how we will make sure that the conservation restrictions are properly recorded and properly followed up upon. I think I said that correctly. Followed up on. Okay.
Yep.
Thanks, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Jeff.
And Jess, I guess
Any
my
other
only
comments?
comment on this then one, Jess, would be just the billing date and then the due by. I don't know if that's enough time.
Say that again?
The payment cycle, the billing date, service period, the billing date and the due date. 23 days just doesn't seem sufficient for me to pay that, but if it's something that Robert can turn around that quickly, that would be fine. I guess I thought this was something maybe that had to come through us, and knowing that we meet every other week, that, you know, that could be a potential issue if we get it, you know, at the wrong time.
Um,
That's all I
Yeah,
had.
I don't know that would, because now, under the town manager form of government, the town manager now approves invoices. So that wouldn't be dependent on our meeting schedule.
Okay, all right. That's why I wasn't positive, so that's fine then. Thanks.
Okay.
Any comments,
Thanks.
George?
Yeah, I just have one comment where it says drafting and following through on implementing conservation restrictions on new OSRD developments. Do we want
Where
to take
are you,
out
George?
in that paragraph under the table?
Okay,
Do we want to delete where it refers to just new OSRD developments? And so that we're including all the old restrictions that need to be done.
Yeah, and actually, George, to that, do we take out OSRD because some of these weren't OSRD either, right?
Correct.
so maybe just refine that language so it separates out non-OSRD CRs and then is clear about the ones that are coming out of the OSRD process.
Yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair,
Yes.
may I recommend using the word applicable projects?
Sure, thank you.
Okay, so what I thought I'd do then is draft up a memo to the town manager with our comments, circulate it to everybody before I send it, and see if I've captured everything. And then we'll send it and let it go from there.
Sounds good.
Okay. And if anybody thinks of something additional, just let me know. Okay.
Thank you, Jess.
Okay.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair, may I ask? Jess, would you please CC me on that memo?
I can do that.
Be more than happy to support the Conservation Commission any way I can with the town manager. Thank you.
Will do.
Okay, then moving on, our next item this evening is a discussion. Review draft request for proposals 2022 air pond treatments. Everyone have a copy of this draft?
Yep. So Jen, how do you feel about sharing that one?
I certainly can do that. Give me one sec.
Unless.
Got it?
Got it.
Okay, just let me know when to scroll.
Okay. I will work on refining my ability to do this down the road. Okay, any initial comments? I put in under the project description at the bottom. What was that?
Jeff, I think you want to mute.
I just muted him. He's fine.
Okay. Yeah, we had a very big sigh from you, Jeff. Okay, and the project description on the bottom of page 1, I put in area in red just because that's how it's been worded in the past. But I find that actually pretty confusing. what do you all think?
I'm sorry, just where again specifically?
The area in red on that bottom paragraph of page 1, performance objective for, oh wait, no, not the performance objective sentence, but the next one, a minimum of 4 sampling rounds with 3 samples per round, 12 samples total per pond shall be collected post-treatment by the consultant. And so my question is, what do we think that actually means? And is it suggesting what? I find that very unclear, and I didn't want to play with that until we all had some input on that.
I don't remember seeing 12 samples post-treatment in the reports.
Yeah, and it seems like that's saying 4 sampling rounds. So you sample today, you sample 2 days
Right.
later, you sample 2 more days, and this is all post-treatment, and I'm not sure I quite understand that. Anyway, this has been the wording for the last few years, but so I'm just wondering if that one, we just want to say a minimum of 4 sampling rounds. Oh, no, a minimum, what we want there is for post-treatment for them to sample, take 3 samples from each of the ponds, right?
Yes.
Yes.
It seems like we're missing like a 1 post-treat, like we want all 12 samples, but we only need 1 set post-treatment. So like we're missing that 1 line.
Okay.
Maybe.
What line would you put in there?
I would keep it the same, but then say 1 of which shall be collected post-treatment.
Okay,
So, or I'm sure there's a better way to say it, but that to me makes more sense so that we can, I mean, what's the point of all of them being post-treatment?
I know.
Well, because we want, the idea is you want to make sure that the herbicide got into the weed, right?
Right, but if we don't have any samples taken before the treatment, then we have nothing to compare it to. So if they're all post-treatment, then that's not helpful.
So
Well,
we
Yeah,
would,
you're not creating a baseline, but my assumption was that they'd have 0 if they're growing. They probably have 0, but maybe that's not right.
Yeah, you would assume they wouldn't have any in them before treatment.
so how about if we had following each treatment or booster application, requiring a sampling round, 3 samples per pond. So we wouldn't do it at the beginning because they wouldn't have any
Right.
herbicide in them. So following each treatment or booster, does that sound right?
Where'd this wording come from?
It's been there for years. And anyways, I mean, I was going through this and I'm like, what the heck do we mean by this? So I flagged it.
Yes, now I do question, as Jen just said, do we know that they would have nothing in them if if they started to grow? I mean, is it 5%? Is it 3%? But they can still grow. I don't know enough about Phragmites and the herbicide, honestly.
And this isn't just for the Phragmites. This is a sampling round for all the treatments. I mistakenly put that sentence about the Phragmites in red. That should have stayed in black. So do you want it, how about wording it so that do an initial sampling before treatment to establish a baseline?
To me, that sounds logical.
Okay.
Unless, like I said, unless, as John said, would they have any at all? I don't know. Maybe we need to check on that.
Yeah. But that would be helpful to know, like, how long does this last? Does it last?
Exactly. Right, right. And
Okay,
then, you know, the sampling should be post-treatment, as you said. What, 2 weeks, a month after treatment that they would sample? I don't know how quickly it would get absorbed.
so I could ask the Water and Wetlands, Joe Honorato, who did the last year, for his advice on this.
Yeah.
Okay,
We could ask them to submit a sampling plan for our review.
Oh, yeah.
oh. Ooh,
Smart, George. Make them do all the work. Make them think.
okay, that sounds good. All right, going to the next page. So what I'll do on this one as well is I'll edit it and then recirculate it around. And probably then we'll take a formal vote on issuing it at our next meeting, which is just in 2 weeks. Does that sound about right?
When do we need to get this out?
Well, I think we'd be okay if we got it out right after our next meeting.
Okay,
And then, yeah, so I'll adjust the due date accordingly. Okay, so on this next one, pre-treatment survey to occur after June 1st. That was in our last year's thing, but that's an artifact because it had been explained to us a couple years ago that if we delay treatment until after June 1st, that's actually, for certain things, it's much better to treat. It's much better to start the treatment in May if you can, and that inhibits new growth. It's more efficient. This sentence would just delay starting the treatments.
so you're suggesting taking this one out?
I think just taking that whole sentence out.
Yep.
Or what if we just said treatment survey to occur no earlier than May 1st? Is there a benefit to doing it that way?
Okay,
Just take out the date and just say pre-treatment to occur in the spring when new growth can accurately be evaluated.
oh,
It's an early spring, they have the option.
yeah, I mean, there was one year where it was such a late spring, we couldn't, and then other years are different. So yeah, so when new growth can accurately be. But again, on that one,
Yeah, no, it doesn't want to do about growth because you just said you want to
right,
the growth starts.
Right.
yeah.
So
I
we're
think
just
it's-
saying, you know, again,
yeah. I think it's the fan wart that in particular, if you hit it before you start seeing visible new growth, then there's a lot less need to use chemicals and stuff to treat it. You're getting it before it starts.
Mr. Chair, may I ask a question?
Sure.
Excuse me. Is this a single year or multi-year contract you're looking into?
Single year.
Yep, single.
I live on a pond, you know that. May I recommend that we take pictures after they treat and not wait for stuff to grow before they pre-treat? We've done a really good job here in town doing stuff. I mean, the ponds are in much better shape than they were 7 years ago. If we wait until stuff grows,
That's what we're saying.
yeah, I would
that's-
remove the sentence and just take
Yeah.
care of it. If we may go overboard a little bit 1 year. And I think we can be excused for that once.
Well, and I think what we had wound up was getting rid of the pre-treatment survey and then having a lot of the plans for the first treatment the following year be based on the post-treatment survey from the previous fall, including photographic evidence, but also their general survey. So we could start the treatment earlier based on where things were in the fall. and not be reliant on waiting to find out something's happening when it's too late to close the barn door, as it were. So we'll eliminate that sentence.
Sure.
Okay, then we
Or
get
just
to,
that sentence, because
all right, what else would you suggest, George?
there's, I'm just seeing previous to that, there's talk about pre-treatment inspections with photographic survey and
Oh, yeah,
GPS generated plot. So you may want to redo that whole paragraph.
okay. Will do. Okay, good point. And I think in terms of the next red sentence on that paragraph at the bottom, pre and post treatment photographs, I would probably say we could reword that to that we would want photographs taken at the time of the first treatment and then also post treatment.
I think that's fine.
Yeah. Okay. Then we have that, we want the eradication goal 90% and then 50% through, it's throughout the project year, which should that be more accurately worded so that that's the target by the end of the project year? Because obviously you can't have it throughout if you're starting in June, that you're treating it.
Magic. Yeah,
Magic.
by the end of the project year.
What do you think about that?
Or is it just a certain set time after the last treatment?
Yeah,
So is it, 1 month after the last treatment or something to that effect?
okay.
Or after final treatment?
Excuse me, I'm sorry again, Mr. Chair. Products that they use to treat these invasives come with them on the MSDS, the period of time by which they should interact with the product and kill it. So the question is, it's hard to put a date on it if it takes 70 days to kill a Phragmite. Saying a month later is a challenge. So would you want to put in per MSDS labeling?
Yeah, that could work too. That would make sense.
Thank you.
All right. Then I just went through the scope of works. Page 4, I think there's just one we hit. At some point, apparently we'd attached a sample cost sheet. I think we can get rid of that one because I couldn't find one. And
Jess.
Yep.
I did have a question on, so you have scope of work for Flanagan. Is it max and average are both 5 feet? I guess I just never noticed that.
oh, that was supposed to be 3 and 5 feet. Or no, 5 and then 3 feet. Sorry, it had been initially written as maximum depth of 3 feet with an average depth of 5 feet. And obviously there was a little problem with that. So I reversed it, but apparently it stayed 5 for both. Okay. Good catch, Mark. This is why we go through things. Okay, and I'll use the same language under minimum qualifications under number 1, as we use above per MSGS labeling. Yeah. Okay, so those were all the things I had general questions about. Does anybody have any other comments? Oh, photographic plan. Um,
So just the last item you had on the last red thing, I guess, on the minimum qualifications.
mhm.
So you have there by the end of treatment. So just like what Jeff was saying, so we modify that to say at least 90% by the end of the MSDS, effectiveness time period, whatever it is from the last treatment. You know what I'm trying to say?
Right.
Okay.
So Mark, I'm going to jump in. I'm sorry, Mr. Chair. It's impossible because they relabel these every year based on input from governments all over, from local governments all over the country. So it's hard, Mark, but yeah, basically following the MSDS label directions.
Exactly. Yep.
Okay, and then I did find from our 2017 one that we did have photos of each of the ponds with suggested photo documentation locations, and I sent those separately because I didn't find them until later. They weren't in last year's batch. So does that look acceptable to everybody?
Yeah, I thought it was fine.
Things?
Yep.
Okay. Alrighty. Okay, so I will edit this down and then recirculate it, and we should be ready to issue it at our next meeting.
Thank you, Jess.
Okay.
Actually, just insight. So you have photo locations there, but we always seem to be seeing the aerials from a drone and everything. Should we specify that there should be a drone one in here? Or is it in there? I just didn't see it.
Wait, say that again. Specify
So
what?
you were talking about photo location basically from the shore,
Yep.
but should we, be at is it the GPS generated ones, or do we want to actually request a drone shot? From above the pond to see the whatever.
What does everybody else think?
I'm not sure how much you're gonna see from a drone. You look for weeds underwater.
Yeah, agreed.
Little submarine.
That's fair.
Okay. I think we're just looking for an excuse for us to get a drone.
We do need one.
We
We
do.
definitely need a drone.
Sure, there's people in the community that would be willing to volunteer their drones for us.
Right. Well, actually, I think the police station has one now. So maybe we could borrow theirs sometime. All right, so I will circulate that.
You all done with that?
Yep.
Alrighty, thank you very much. Next item for discussion this evening is water chestnut removal project for Grove Pond. Ms. Lori Nearing. Alrighty. Yes.
Are you familiar with the grant for the Wild and Scenic Stewardship Council?
Yes.
Is that should I summarize what it is?
We are doing a waterways signs project that we're working on this year under that grant. So,
Okay. So I am in the process of writing a grant. It's due next Tuesday, February 1st. And the grant purpose is to work at the project of removing those water chestnuts that are now exponentially growing at Grove Pond. What struck me as being kind of determined to make it happen is in this fall, I think it was mid-October, my husband and I went on a little kayaking trip at Grove Pond. We went from behind the town gardens, that end of the pond off of Barnum Road. And within a very short distance, I was terrified, quite frankly, by the level of the growth of the water chestnut. And honestly, I had forgotten all about this problem. It was brought to my attention. I realized when I look back at my emails in 2017, and in the course of preparing for this grant application, I discovered that it was actually discovered in 2015 with a pond study that the Conservation Commission had done at that time of all of the ponds. And they identified 4 different very small areas in 2015 and let the CONSCOM know at that time. And so there was an effort by the prior agent to try to get people to do a volunteer pull, which would have been pretty quick and easy if we had done it back then. But because of the known contamination at Grove Pond, it was felt that we needed to check the safety of the plants and the sediments and the surface water to make sure that volunteers were not going to be inadvertently exposing themselves to things that would harm them. So that took another chunk of time. In 2017, you may remember that there was a study that was done by Solitude Water Association, I think it's called. And they pulled up 6 water chestnut plants and had them tested. I believe that they ground the whole plant together, all 6 plants, and they came up with a arsenic level. That's all they were looking at that time was arsenic of 3.06 kilograms. How did this go? 3.06 milligrams per kilogram. What's the unit? Sorry. Anyhow, it was thought that that was not a safety concern, that was a low level and they weren't too concerned, but nothing ever happened. It was 3.06 milligrams per kilogram. And a risk assessor at the state informed the Conservation Commission at that time that they felt that nobody would be harmed by pulling those plants. Unfortunately, still nothing has happened and it slipped off the radar, I think, of many people. And so I'm pretty determined to get them out of there right now. I'm guessing you all know how rapidly it grows. Sean, you live on the pond. Maybe you've seen this water chestnut if you've been out there as well. But one plant can produce 10 more plants. And the nut for this plant is, maybe this big, and it has prongs on it, many prongs that will go through your foot and through your sandal if you step on it. It's really a pretty horrible plant. This invasive plant has taken over a very large part of Pepperell on the Nashua River, and there's a huge effort to contain it. It's gotten so bad that they do hire, the Nashua River Watershed Association does hire a mechanical remover for the water chestnuts just to contain it and to try to keep it from getting bigger. This was likely brought in by waterfowl. It's possible that somebody brought it in on a canoe or other, canoe or kayak, but it's pretty easy to spread by animals. It probably clings to the feathers of birds and things, maybe even a beaver. So every year that we wait, every plant grows 10 more. And so, if you just consider, if we go in there and pull 100 plants, well, that eliminates 1,000 plants the next year. So the focus of the grant that I'm in the process of writing is to have the plants tested. I have already spoken to a number of colleagues, friends of PACE. My neighbor is Faith Salter. She works with the Appalachian Mountain Club, and she's very involved with local volunteers in the canoeing group. She has said that she's confident that she can get volunteers. So I've got NRWA is going to offer guidance on how to properly pull the plants. Apparently, it's not important to pull the roots out. It's important to remove the rosettes. So that's the upper floating part of the plant where the seeds grow. So there'll be flowers and then there'll be seeds. And that's helpful to know because we know that the sediments are the problem. I also spent a fair amount of time going back through the many Grove Pond reports that study what kind of contaminants are in Grove Pond. And the most detailed study that I'm aware of is from 2006. And that's when a company called Gannett and Fleming did this amazing report, and I have it over here. It's like 2 volumes. Each volume is about 3 inches thick. So I did go through that and look specifically for where these water chestnuts are as best as I could, what contaminants are there. And I made a list of those. And so the focus of the grant that I plan to write is to get a lab to test the plants and probably also the sediments and the water. We are very hopeful. Sean, maybe you can offer guidance on that. Oh, he's leaving. So we are also needing to add PFAS contaminants now because we didn't know about them in 2006. So the concern is if people are pulling the plants for, I don't know, several hours over several days, could they be exposed through dermal absorption to anything that would harm them? And of course, we cannot go forward if that turns out to be true, but we're pretty sure that it won't be true. But we need to check. The other problem is that if the plants have concentrated by absorbing themselves, arsenic is the main concern, and possibly these PFAS chemicals, even if the people who are pulling them are not going to be endangering themselves with dermal absorption, once we accumulate a big pile of these plants and they dry out, maybe we need to treat them as hazardous waste. And if that's the case, that triggers a whole different level of concern. So in my opinion, that would mean then that we talk to the Army and they would have to pick these plants up because they are the source of PFAS and arsenic as well. I have spoken to DPW, and Dan, who was with us earlier tonight, said that as long as the plants are not diagnosed as hazardous waste, he can certainly help load a dump truck with the plants and have them carried off to a composting place, you know, where we put all of our leaves and stuff anyhow, I imagine. And so I'm looking for your guidance and ideally a letter of support from you. I have been talking quite a bit to Jess about this. Tonight you mentioned drones taking pictures, or maybe you even have pictures of the ponds and the plants. If you happen to have those, and I can include them in my report or my grant submittal, I would really love that. I noticed in the report you were just looking at, you also mentioned that you're going to have the firm that's going to be doing the herbicide treatment is going to need to have the plants sent to a laboratory to test for the herbicides. And I'm actually struggling to find a company that can sample plants. There's lots of companies that will sample sediment and soil and water. I know about all of those. I got one price quote back so far. The sampling of water or sediments for arsenic is like $12, no problem. The sampling for PFAS contaminants is more like $300 per sample. So the grant, I think, should be able to cover the big push, the big cost. But most of this is going to be an in-kind push. And then, as I'm sure you're aware, if we can get the plants down to a much lower level this summer, then we're going to need to go back and repull every summer for the nuts that have already fallen to the ground, fallen to the sediments, I should say, and keep pulling them until there's no more viable nuts. So probably about 5 years, and it'll get easier each time. I believe it's a very doable project if we get it this summer, but if we wait another year or two, it's going to be out of control and become a much worse problem. So I'd love to hear your thoughts and questions.
Lori, do you anticipate that it has to be tested every year since we're going to be having to pull for 5 years?
That is a good question. It seems to me that it would stay the same. That's a really good question. I suspect it would pretty much stay the same. I also, just backtracking a little bit, I did some research to see whether or not these plants are even rooted, because I didn't understand that. I didn't know if they were floating plants or rooted plants. They do root. And there are places more in Europe than in the United States where there have been studies in the literature that show that specifically water chestnuts are being used for bioremediation of arsenic in other places in the world, not so much here. There are a number of brand new studies that are just underway to see how we can get rid of PFAS contamination, because that's the fluoridated forever chemical that everybody's hearing about now, and it's really hard to get rid of it. So there are some studies that are looking at other plants, but I've not seen anything that talks specifically about water chestnuts and bioremediation of PFAS. The studies that I read said that the contamination seems to focus on the roots, and I believe that's what they didn't study it that way. Yeah, the contamination seems to be concentrated in the roots. So if it's true that we can leave the roots behind, as NRWA suggested, that's a double benefit, because we know that there's a lot of chemical contamination in the sediments that have been building up over the years. That thick mat of sediments is actually what helps keep our water supply Grove Pond more clear, because all that, the chemicals are chemically bound with it's a carbon filter essentially. So they're chemically bound to the thick sediments, and they're not getting into our drinking water supply because of that, is what that Gannett Fleming study showed, which was really important back, in 2006, and we were all concerned about that.
Well, Lori, first off, this is a wonderful thing you're trying to do.
Thank you.
And what is it exactly that you want from us?
Okay. A letter of support would be really helpful. If you have pictures of the plant itself, or a surface picture of Grove Pond, that would be helpful. I have seen some on the website, so I have a copy of the pond study that was done a number of years ago. If it turns out that the plants are highly contaminated, I may need to come back and seek funding. I'm expecting that your board doesn't have that sort of funding, but you might be able to help me obtain that kind of support, because it'll need to happen quickly if we're going to try to manage this year. The other part I should say is that the window of time seems to be fairly narrow, and this is why. We have to wait for the plants to get big enough before we can have them sampled. So we can't sample them when they're tiny. They won't have grown enough to know if they're really a problem or not. So we have to wait until they're at least visible, and it's starting to come to the surface. Get them to a laboratory, get the samples to a laboratory. For sampling for PFAS, you really need to have somebody who knows how to do that properly. We know that there are so many products that are on our clothing, on our deodorant, inadvertently you're putting it on yourself. So you have to be really careful if you're sampling for PFAS that you're not contaminating the sample from what you're wearing or doing. And there are people that are trained to do that. It's possible that I can get instructions on how to do it myself, or how to have people help me do it. I believe that Mark Wetzel has the proper procedures to people at DPW. So getting the lab sample results back may take a week or 10 days. When the plants come up, the ideal time to start picking them, I'm told, is the end of July, beginning of August. So if we have the plant sampled in early June, we send them out, we get the results back, we have about 2, maybe 3 weeks to organize the community pull, is what I'm calling it in my grant application. And so that's a pretty tight time frame. And so also getting whatever support you can offer with outreach and getting the word out. If you all would be willing to be involved in the pull and bring along your friends, that would be great. I think getting people to help out is not going to be too hard, honestly, unless it's a really difficult summer. So I'm going to write into the grant to buy, if we need them, the long gloves protective gloves that go up to here. So if people are concerned about whatever's in the water and don't want to get wet, I'm hoping that this would be the kind of thing that if you break your arm and you want to take a shower or swim, you can put it on your arm. That's what I'm envisioning.
When do you hope to get your grant application out?
It's due on Tuesday. And I think Jess may have a draft of a letter.
I do, which I cannot share because I can't share. Is this application being under your name, Lori, or under PACE?
It's under my name, but I'm representing PACE.
Okay.
So I'm
Could
the
I
contact person within PACE.
could I read what I have and see if this sounds acceptable to people?
Sure.
Okay, since I did it late this afternoon. so. All right. The Air Conservation Commission is pleased to support the application of Ms. Lori Nearing, representing PACE, on behalf of a group of volunteers for a grant from the Stewardship Council to fund updated studies of arsenic and other chemical pollutants in a currently isolated section of Grove Pond that contains a growing patch of invasive water chestnuts. A study was previously done on arsenic levels in 2017, but no action has been able to be taken since then. Ms. Nearing and her group would like to repeat this testing and possibly add several other chemical tests. For example, chromium, lead, phthalate, whatever, and PFAS compounds, based in part on previous documentation of other areas in Grove Pond or in nearby Plowshop Pond. The goal of this project is to provide information and guidance on dermal exposure or other potential risks in order to protect volunteers who, it is hoped, will be able to hand pull these invasives later this year, working from kayaks or canoes. The new study would also be asked to provide guidance in determining appropriate methods for the proper treatment and disposal of the water chestnut plants once they have been pulled. That sound okay? The commission is aware it will have to review the project from a permitting perspective under the Wetlands Protection Act. I'm assuming that might be true, right?
Oh, that's a good point. I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I'll put, it might have to. We'll check on
I
that.
would assume it's gotta be.
Yeah. But considers this to be an excellent citizen initiative project for something that the commission cannot itself at this time undertake. This project facilitating the removal of a harmful and fast-growing invasive will be of great benefit to the town of Ayer, and perhaps more importantly, to connecting water resources, including the Nashua River, which Grove Pond waters eventually flow into. Commission therefore respectfully requests your favorable consideration of this grant application.
Well done.
Nice.
Okay.
I'm gonna
Hey,
just
Lori, I just got a couple quick questions.
Yeah.
So you said Pepperell's is pulling them out mechanically or such, but they don't have any sort of arsenic issue or anything up there, I assume?
correct.
Yeah, so they just dispose of them regularly.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
Then the
Oftentimes,
next question.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
oftentimes they just leave them on the shoreline to decompose as long as it's far enough away that the nuts don't roll back in. Other times they take them, like people take them to their backyards and let them decompose in their backyards.
Okay.
That's what I know.
So then you talked about, I guess, like if they were to die, they die off completely, the roots die. Is it anything like a tree where essentially that carbon capture, the arsenic capture, then releases that arsenic and or PFAS possibly?
I can't answer that.
Yeah, it might be something we should just check on though, I guess, because it would be really bad if the water chestnuts are holding those in like a tree captures carbon and ends up decaying and then basically releasing that PFAS and releasing the arsenic right into the water. I mean, let's assume it stays in the sediment, but I just don't know. So I'm just asking the question.
It seems like other plants that are native would do the same thing, right? That any plant that's rooted in whatever's in the water and the sediment when it dies, is gonna re-release whatever's it's surrounded by back into the environment, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's like a peanut, right? They use peanuts to take the toxins out of their ground so they can grow better plants, right?
Oh, oh. So if they turn out to be really good at sequestering and holding on to PFAS and or arsenic, maybe this is a way that the ponds get cleaned up. So it's really complicated. The other thing that's complicated, I think, is that it looks to me like is Grove Pond kind of split so that the boundary between Devons and Ayer is right through Grove Pond. That's a part I haven't been able to figure out.
Yeah, I think might be true.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Yes, Jeff.
Thank you. Lori, I want to pull plants for you.
Thank you.
No matter what it takes, I will come and pull plants.
Oh,
Okay.
yay. Thank you.
Number one. Number two, I do have, or I no longer have an active license for working with aquicides and things like that. But my question is this. Water chestnut seeds are the problem because the water chestnut, when it goes to seed, drops more seed, then we get more water chestnuts.
Right.
Would it be, this is a kind of a friendly amendment to what you're doing. Could we request that we add in an aquicide treatment to the pond?
Meaning a pesticide of some kind?
Yeah, pesticide, yes. In the real world, it's called a pesticide, but aquicide is a product. I don't know much about it, but I do know that it does interact with the seeds and retards the seed regrowth. Because water chestnut is one of those things, excuse me, guys, you pull a water chestnut out, you're great. But if it's already gone to seed, you're in trouble.
That's why we're trying to get it before it seeds.
Exactly. And pictures won't help us in that character, in that world. So that's all I'm saying. I will pull water chestnut for the rest of my life, only because I appreciate what you're saying. And I'm so far along in life that PFAS doesn't bother me that much because I've seen what the PFAS plant will do, and I'm good with that. But would that be a helpful thing? Number one, Lori.
I'll respond by saying that Grove Pond is already so loaded with chemical contamination because of the tannery that has
Yes, I know.
the thought had been we just don't want to go in that direction to add more chemicals, especially when it's so, this is like pretty adjacent to Ayer wells, our Grove Pond wells. And
Agreed.
so we all had agreed that we just don't have the ability to know what kind of intermixing there would be, and did not want to add to the problem that's already so abundant there. But it's chromium, cadmium, lead, zinc are in other places in the pond at very high levels. The story I had heard from my other work at PACE is when they were doing sampling at the tannery area in the soil for chromium, they dug down a couple feet and the soil was so green that they had to kind of back away from the chromium. It's highly contaminated. So
yeah, it sounds like Charles River down where I used to live. Yeah, and no, I get it. Lori, I understand what you're saying, and I'm not going to ask Bonnie about that because Bonnie will go into biochemist world and tell me all about how bad it is. So strike that. But I'm happy to help you pull these things. And I have, and this is a person off the street, I have gone and toured the PFAS plant. And my understanding is the PFAS plant's up to the goal of removing it from the water supply for the town.
oh,
So that may,
the filtration plant, you mean?
yes.
Okay.
So that may not be a concern right now.
I hear you. I'd prefer to hand pull them if we can, but I think that's something we should go look at again if we just can't manage it.
Does anyone on the commission object to supporting the letter of support to this project?
No,
Nope.
Yep, I think full steam ahead on that.
Okay, John, you'll have to, in your email after the meeting, give me your authorization to use your signature stamp on that. Lori, I'd be happy to drop it off in your mailbox tomorrow before the snowstorm.
Actually, an electronic copy is going to be, I have to submit this
Oh,
electronically.
okay,
So if you can
I
just
can-
send it to my email, that's easier. That'll be
that's
better.
right. I can scan at town hall.
Yeah. Or take a picture of it on your phone.
Yeah, well, I'll
that-
be in there tomorrow morning, so I'll scan it to you and you'll have it tomorrow.
What I'm struggling with a little bit, if you all have contacts with it, is somebody who's an expert with dermal absorption of these various contaminants, like a risk assessment person. So if you happen to know somebody who has those skills with the state or a nonprofit or something, that would be really helpful.
Okay.
So thank you so much.
Okay,
Oh, thank you too. Appreciate what you're doing.
You're welcome.
Okay, we got about 9 minutes.
all right, just have some fairly quick things. Stratton Hill was announced to the planning board formally accepted the letter withdrawing without prejudice received from Attorney Bob Collins on behalf of Dave Moulton. So that project is currently off the table, which means that our selection of BSC Group to do a third-party review is also off the table for the time being.
Okay.
Okay. Waterways Signs Project. Mark, do you want to try to schedule another site walk?
Saturday?
Not this Saturday, but wondering about February 5th. If we want to try it. We're supposed to have 3 days of warm weather and maybe some rain next week, which I'm not looking forward to, but
Have an early mud season, huh?
yeah.
Yeah, I guess I'd say the 5th. Obviously, the snow doesn't help. I'll be working. So, actually, no, I'll be sleeping at that time, considering I'll be working overnight. So,
So
Yeah.
try for Saturday, February 5th. and
yeah.
just see
And
how
thank you
weather
for
goes.
finding maps. These are good. I guess I'd just say, take a look at the maps. I believe the first one, the sign locations draft, kind of gives us a pretty good idea. But then again, the detail with the with the ABCs and everything like that. I know that was then the next shot at it, trying to determine how many and such. But right now, the idea would, in my mind, is let's stay away from DOT altogether.
Yeah.
So I know as much as Balch Pond would be like a perfect one because you're right on a sidewalk. I think we stay away from that. We stay away from Nashua River over by the temple over there. But there's some other spots along Nashua River down by like the Hunter's parking lot and stuff like that Joanne had talked about in the past that, maybe we could do that. But I think even if we were to eliminate, like I said, the sites on 2A, I think we have more than enough that we could use to fill. And as I said before too, especially based on the rising costs associated with this, that, cutting back on the number of locations might just have to be anyway. So,
Okay. So meet at the town beach at 9 a.m. on the 5th. Faith Salter, who did the grant application for us, would be interested in joining us on that. So I'll let her know.
Sure.
Okay.
Can we park there?
Yeah, at the town beach.
Okay.
Yeah, that's why it's a good parking spot.
I think we're just going to John's, but that's fine.
You can park in
Yeah,
my
that's
yard.
true.
So 9 o'clock, Jess?
Oh, yeah, 5 minutes.
No, I say at 9 on the
Oh,
site.
9 o'clock on that
Yeah.
morning, yeah.
Okay.
The next thing we had was George did the draft for the annual report. Did everybody have a chance to look at that?
Yep. It was very cool.
Thank you, George.
Yeah, nicely done.
Yeah, the only thing I would specify further, George, was on the proposed fertilizer use bylaw. I just would say that it was approved at Fall Town Meeting in 2021.
Okay.
Anybody else have anything?
Nope.
I also like that George
Hmm.
kept the column from 2020 and then added in the 2021 permit numbers. It shows the nice contrast that we really did not slow down one bit during the pandemic. We accelerated.
Right.
So, okay, so George, do you want me to just make that one change and then forward it on to the town manager's office, or do you want to do that?
No, you can do it.
Okay,
Send me a copy.
okay, will do. And then, oh, just an update on the fertilizer bylaw. The deadline for the Attorney General to get back to us on whether they accept it or not was February 7th. They sent a letter which has since been signed by town council asking for a 90-day extension. So it'll be another few months. I'm
Well,
trying to
what
look
if
at
we say
that.
no?
Deny.
Yeah, they
Yeah,
could
why
either,
do we have to agree?
oh, well, it's just like when we ask an applicant to allow us to continue something, we usually get their approval. We have to get their assent often.
Okay,
So it's just a,
I get it. I know.
yeah.
Excuse me, Mr. Chair.
Very briefly.
It's called goodwill.
Ah, hey, she's leaving, so.
And then the last thing is, I was working with Dan to prepare an application for CPC funding to create Flanagan Pond public access. So hopefully that will go before the Community Preservation Committee next week and then be ready for a public hearing in March. But moving that forward, this is just for a feasibility study. And so trying to move that one forward a bit.
Yep.
Okay, that's all I got that's important.
You want to touch briefly on the
Oh,
job vacancy?
yeah, why don't you go ahead? You,
You
Okay,
better
I
be
called,
telling us that it's posted.
it's posted internally on Monday. And it needs to be up there for 5 days. So next Monday it will be put out to the world. And there is one person that has submitted their resume or their interest in the position internally. So after next Monday, it'll be out in the real world and we'll see what happens.
And I forgot, do we still entertain things from the outside world?
Mhm.
Before the, or at the same time as the internal applicant? That,
Yes.
okay. Okay.
So it's progressing.
Okay.
We had a meeting this morning to talk about the OSRD bylaw regulations and with Mark Archambault, Ken Diskin, Jonathan Krantz, Dan Ben Shockwick, Jess, myself. Is that it?
Ken
And
Diskin, Ken Diskin.
yeah, I said Ken.
Okay,
And to start the process. So it was a good beginning, and we're going to continue. So next week? I
next
think
Thursday.
Yeah, next Thursday we'll have another meeting to work on these, just to hammer them out, get more an easier process for planning board and for us to work together on this and make the process easier and smoother. Quicker. Anybody else have anything?
It's nine on the dot.
9 on the dot.
Sorry, I was so late. That's all I have.
Okay. So
No,
Jen,
no.
one of the things I said in the beginning, we have our signature stamps.
Mhm.
So I'm gonna do the practice for the time being is right after the meeting, I'm going to send everybody an email saying, this is what we voted on. Is it okay, get in writing from you, is it okay to use your signature stamp for this, this, and this? Or
Okay.
which ones you say no on. So I'll be sending that out within a few minutes.
All right. Thank you, Jess.
Okay.
Yep, thank you. Is there a motion to adjourn?
So
Oh,
moved.
and Jen, you also have to provide me with a blank personal check.
Okay.
So I can
You
make
can pick it
sure-
up tomorrow.
Okay.
Second.
Second, moved by George Bacon, seconded by Mark Phillips. Jen, how do you vote?
Aye.
George, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jess, how do you vote?
I
Mark, how do you vote?
Aye.
Chair votes aye. We are adjourned.